Welcome to episode 255 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here as always. And this week we've got a very cool one because we've got Robin McAuley joining us.
Exactly.
Yeah, very, very cool to say that. Very glad that we've got this one. Pretty excited about this. Robin McAuley, as you probably know if you've been listening to rock music for a long time, was part of McAuley Schenker group. Mm-hmm. He's now got a great new band called Black Swan. He's also been part of the Michael Schenker Fest for the last few years. He does a few other things. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but really excited.
Really, any time you get to talk to him is great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now, yeah.
Sorry. There?
That took me a second.
I was the one with the pun this time, not you.
That's right. That's unusual.
Right? I'm on it today, man.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the Robin McAuley stuff, we got a few things to talk about, some music to play. But first, we got to let you know we're sponsored by DEB Concerts and MedFarm. MedFarm is a dispensary located in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, at 24683 East Highway 51. They're right there off the highway. Can't miss them. Get in there because they've got a great selection. They're always running specials, so follow them on their social media. Their Instagram is at MedFarmOK, and Facebook is MedFarm. That's PHARM. Website's medfarmok.com. And you can see all their products on leafly.com. If you tell them that Thunder Underground sent you or that you heard about them or mention our name, they'll give you 10% off your order, which is very cool. They've also got a doctor on site every Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And most importantly, their slogan is Cannabis with a Cause, because 30% of their profits are going to build no-kill animal shelters. And as we've stated a few times, I know there's like 5,000 dispensaries in Tulsa now. So you can get to one probably within 3 minutes no matter where you're at. But
oh, definitely.
No matter where you're at in Tulsa, you can get to this place within 20 minutes. And the fact that a third of what you're paying is going to help build a no-kill animal shelter, I think that's worth your drive no matter where you're at.
Oh, definitely.
So get in there and check them out and tell them we sent you. Also, DEB Concerts, a promoter right here in Tulsa that keeps bringing some great rock and roll to downtown Tulsa and to Rocklahoma and to the BOK Center. Well, the BOK Center is downtown Tulsa. That was kind of redundant. But most shows are at the Ideal Ballroom. Just the other night, Buck Cherry was there.
Right.
Recently, we've had in the past year Saxon, Last in Line, Beasto Blanco, the year before, Striper, Steelheart, Sebastian Bach, way back. We had Winger and Warrant, Dokken, LA Guns, Kicks, Junkyard, a huge long list. And now they've got Texas Hippie Coalition coming on 420.
Right. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, how convenient is that? Texas Hippie Coalition will be at the Ideal Ballroom with Poster Child and Sweatin' Bullets opening that show. And Eddie Trunk, I didn't look. I assume Eddie Trunk will be hosting?
No.
Oh, he's not?
Lynn Hernandez from Camody.
Okay, gotcha. Lynn Hernandez will be hosting that show. So get out there and check that one out. You've got almost 2 months to prepare.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll be talking about that many more times, but also we're talking about Rocklahoma because DB Concerts booked the D&B processing stage, which is in the Roadhouse area. And they've got a pre-party the Thursday night before Rocklahoma kicks off as Warrant, Bullet Boys, Hurricane Alice. That's going to be kick-ass because you got some throwback rock and roll there. And then we've got Liliac, John 5 and the Creatures, and Lynch Mob that are headlining the other 3 days.
And you know what?
What?
What happened the other day? I found John 5's soda. The limeade.
Oh, I forgot all about that. I remember talking about that on Jocelyn once.
Yep, yeah. And it's like, if you know those
Was it at that Rocket Fizz place?
Yes.
Okay.
The old, the old circular green lollipops you get at the doctor's office if you're a good boy or girl when you got a shot.
Yeah.
It literally tastes like that in liquid form.
Wow. So it's sweet as fuck is what you're saying?
Pretty much. It was, yeah, I mean, I gained like 200 pounds just drinking that thing, you know.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
But I had to try it. You know, it was, you don't see that every day. And, so.
Do you remember what it was called? Did it have like a clever pun name?
It did, and I cannot fucking remember. But at the end it said limeade, so I don't know. I probably should have been more prepared. Didn't really even think about it until you said John 5. So,
right.
I don't know. I'll get back to you, everybody.
Okay. We'll talk about that as
Right.
it gets closer to Rocklahoma. But yeah, all that coming to Rocklahoma thanks to DEB Concerts. There's a lot of other acts on that stage. Get on debconcerts.com to find out more. And also that's where you can find the link to buy the tickets for Texas Hippie Coalition as well. And they've also got an announcement coming soon on another show at the BOK Center. So it's going to be a big one because it's going to be a rock and roll show. So be on the listen for that. And we, of course, will talk about that when it happens as well. All right. So speaking of Buck Cherry, you were at that show.
Yes, I was.
With Grind and Fist of Rage opening. So what's your, I wasn't able to make it, but what was your takeaway from all that?
I mean, it was a great show. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Fist of Rage or Grind opened the show, and that was awesome. They did all the, I mean, it's Grind. We've seen Grind a million times. They were tight. CJ was on. It sounded great. Fist of Rage was up next, and I mean, it was just I love what Brax brings to the band. And it's cool. Like Andy was there, their old singer.
Yeah.
And we love Andy, and it's cool to see that support still there. So, and then Buck Cherry played fucking Porno Star. I mean, come on.
That's amazing.
And
it's funny because just a week or so before the show, I'm like, if only because you said you had looked at the set list, and I was like, if only they played Time Bomb or Porno Star, that'd be amazing.
Well, and then they
not
busted
thinking
it
that would ever
out.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was crazy because, the other two clubs that are connected to the IDL had Mardi Gras shit going on.
Oh, that's right.
And there's just people everywhere. It was just a great night. Buck Cherry sounded great.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, I wasn't going to get into my thoughts, because I was a diehard fan of this band, and I've been a little off the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not going to get into that, but I was just curious, like, what your thoughts on Josh Todd's voice, the band, and all that stuff.
No, I mean, his voice is still there.
Okay.
His voice has always been there. It's
well, I know
ironclad.
that, but I've seen him a couple of times where he sounded off.
I don't know. It sounded great to me. I know that I couldn't believe they played Porno Star.
Yeah.
And they were on. I mean, it sounded awesome. I mean, I don't know. I know that they have a different lineup, and it's different these days. But the songs are being played, note for note. So, they went into Radio Song after it was, they opened with Head Like a Hole.
Right.
They went into Porno Star and then Riding in Radio Song.
Riding, amazing.
So, I mean, it was a great night. It was good times. Good times.
So, they didn't play, any snippets or covers of American Pearl?
No, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, and that would have been great, but that's only me and you are probably literally the only people in this fucking state that know what that means.
Right.
So, well, what do you do?
Yeah. Let people look that up if they're interested.
Yeah. You'll connect the dots pretty quick.
Yeah. Let's play some music before we talk about a couple other things. We're going to play Down for 5.
Fuck yeah. This is a great song, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got it.
Yeah, they just released this song Tuesday, and it's their first song in 7 years since their last album came out. And this was produced by Mark Mortensen, and it's a fucking kick-ass rock and roll song.
You're damn right it is.
So let's just get into this. This is Unify. Unify from Down for Five, a brand new song. Like I mentioned beforehand, that's their first song in quite a while. It's been 7 years. And the very cool thing is that they've got 2 more songs that they're going to be releasing over this next month. And I think, I should have asked, but the way I gather it from the way they talk, they're just releasing these 3 songs digitally, which is, what a lot of people should do this day and age.
Very, yeah.
I don't know if they're going to look to wind these into a full album at some point or what, but right now we're getting 3 new songs, which is pretty awesome. And this song is fucking great. You mentioned to me after you heard it that the hook is awesome, and that's my big takeaway as well.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you earlier. I mean, it's just hooks and catchy, and it's got a great fucking solo, and, Syke sings like a motherfucker, and it just, that chorus sticks to you just can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, you're singing along before the song's over the first time you hear it.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And that's a great skill to have in your arsenal.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the other 2.
Yeah, I know that my big takeaway besides the hook was, and just the whole thing, all the instrumentation or whatever you want to say it is all amazing. But like you said, Syke, to me it feels like he's better. He's always been great, but it sounds like he's even better now vocally than he was.
Hell yeah.
7 years ago or whatever when you heard it recorded. I mean, we've seen him live, and he's since then.
Yep.
Because I've been back the past year or 2, and he's great. But I'm just saying, it's just something about it that just is a little bit like the game's been upped a little bit more.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to come correct, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so Down for Five, noteworthy. That's the first band that we ever interviewed on this podcast.
Yes, it is.
I think it was episode 7.
Yep. And I'd like to get him back on to talk about this new shit.
Yeah, the first band that we interviewed was Scott and Jana. At that point, they were just doing Rocket Science, and I think they're even still doing Octane Blue at that point.
Yeah.
And Down for Five was inactive. But, we've had Jana and Scott had been on here another time, and Scott's been on here another time with 9 from Dead Metal Society.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, we need to get Syke on here at some point, too.
Yeah.
Or just get the whole band now, Jeff as
right.
well. Yeah, so there you go. Down for Five, check it out. Follow them on Facebook and give this song a listen some more. All right, so speaking of other new music, on February 21st, Ozzy released his first album in quite a while, but we're going to talk about that on the next episode because we got an Ozzy-centric episode coming.
Yes, we do.
But someone else, another heavy metal icon like Ozzy, Biff Byford, released his first ever solo album.
Yes, he did.
40 plus years of Saxon. They've been around since 78, 79 was their first album.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his first ever solo effort.
Yes.
So my first thought is, I think we actually kind of talked about this a while back before the first single came out, School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I was like, is he just going to release an album that sounds like Saxon?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point? But my instant reaction was when the album first started, the first song is Welcome to the Show.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yep.
This song was bombastic as fuck.
Yes.
It's fucking 80s arena rock to the hilt.
I was curious. Go ahead. Sorry, before I go into my thing.
Well, it's just like everything about it is just like excess to the greatest degree. And I'm just like, man, I was so saying that. My first instant takeaway from the whole album was I was a little bit let down just because I was hoping the whole album was like that.
Yeah.
But then I listened to it again, and it's like it's a great album, so there's no reason to be let down. And there's only probably 2 or 3 songs that sound like these could have been Saxon songs.
I get that, yeah.
But there's several songs that I really love. But before I list them off, what do you got to say about your instinct?
Well, I think you're completely, absolutely 120% correct about Welcome to the Show. It's one, and it's always, I don't care what band you are, when you've got those just simple banana, with the 4 on the floor beat, kind of the AC/DC Back in Black formula.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to incite some feelings in you that are, you want to drink, you want to party, you want to fuck, you want to go see a band in an arena.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and you want to have fun. And it's just this just triumphant, grand thing. Like, and the chorus is fucking huge and catchy as hell. It's like, you know, I want to ride a bald eagle through the wind and then come back down and watch an angel band. I mean, you want to get fucking Talladega Nights on it.
Right.
You really fucking do. And I don't care how derivative that formula is. And I don't care how corny it is. I don't care how 80s it is. I don't care who fucking does it. When a band does that, I'm in.
Absolutely.
I'm sold. I want to turn it up. I want to have fun. I want to crack open some beers. I want to make some bad decisions.
Right.
So I just love when fucking bands do that. It might not be the right thing, but it feels good. So fuck it. I don't care. You know, and then I think, when you go into School of Hard Knocks, that's a pretty Saxony thing.
Yeah.
And I knew, I mean, you can't take the Saxon out of Biff Byford.
Right.
You can a little bit here. And to my detriment, I'll just be completely upfront right now. This is a record I've listened to many times. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have not looked at the fucking song titles.
I know.
It's while I'm driving or while I'm doing shit at the house. I love this record. I've listened to it probably like fucking 10 times. But, you know, if you say, hey, what about Pit and the Pendulum? I don't know. You know, I don't know what you're going to play it for me.
Yeah.
But also another thing that I thought about, the song where he's kind of talking at the beginning. You know, Biff Byford could be in like movies or have like, you know, voiceovers.
Yeah.
That's
a good point. Yeah.
Those epic, like, you know, fantasy type movies. That's just what my point was. But all of it's, I mean, it's all deadly. And as a guy who, ever since I was a kid, fucking hated the song Scarborough Fair. It just fucking abhorred it. You know, I'm okay with this version. It picks up at the end, and there's some, you know, they do some shit, and then it gets kind of rocking. So that'll work.
Yeah, I was like, you remember Queensryche covered that? It was on I think it was a B-side from Empire, because it was on like the re-released longer version of Empire or something. Like, I always liked it better than the original, but still didn't like love it by any means. And that's kind of how I am here.
Well, yeah, I've never.
It's just one of those songs. I'm just
fuck
like,
parsley, fuck sage, fuck rosemary, and fuck thyme. Okay, fuck them all. I can't stand that song. And Biff made it tolerable.
Okay. Well, the song "Throw Down the Sword," you probably remember that one, right? That one's the one that was a little bit slower and has that kick-ass guitar solo running out the back end of it. And then Me and You was that the other side of Biff Byford. You finally got to hear a love song.
A saxophone solo.
Yeah.
Come on, Biff.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
At least
he wrote a song for his wife. Yeah.
Well, at least one of those ballads that all these guys do. You know, at least he's like, you know, fucking throwing a sax solo. No one does that.
Yeah.
So I'm down.
Did you know who played that sax?
No, I don't.
It's Tom Kiefer.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm just making that up on the spot.
Man.
It could have been Clarence from...
I thought you were going to say Michael Monroe.
It was Clarence Clemens. It was the last thing he recorded before he died a few years ago.
What, like fucking 8 years ago or some shit?
Yeah.
You're insane.
And Biff's had it on the back burner. Okay. What was something else I wanted to say about this, but I forgot. It'd be cool if he did a tour, like a club tour, and played some of these songs, you know, and obviously threw in some... It'd be cool if he did these songs and did nothing but like the 80s Saxon.
Yeah, like, fucking back on the streets again. And he'd throw in the fucking, what's the Christopher Cross song? God damn it.
Did he do a cover of?
Yeah. Riding the Wind.
Saxon that's right. I forgot that was a Christopher Cross song.
Pretty much anything from Innocence Is No Excuse.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, I love it. Fucking, I mean, it's, you know, the guy's 69 years old and sings like that still. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had him on the show before.
And you said he's 69 years old?
Yeah.
Guess what? He was on episode 169. How cool is that?
That is insane.
So he's probably 68 at that point, though.
Yes.
Because that was 2018, right? So 67.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was like whenever Saxon came through opening up for Judas Priest on that tour in 2018. We got to have him on. And Black Star Riders was the same show.
Yep. And speaking of saxophone solos, on the new Black Star Riders record, Michael Monroe does play sax.
No shit.
Yeah.
Which, really?
I think it's the first, well, the first song? Well, I know he plays saxophone, so I don't know. Fuck off. You go Google it right now. I don't know. But I know he's on there. And Pearl, Scott Ian's wife.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you look up at all? Do you know who plays on this Biff Byford record?
No, I don't. I read who, and I can't fucking remember. I know that the video for School of Hard Knocks, I know that a Nibs from Saxon is in it.
Oh, okay. So then I'm sure he plays on it.
Yes. Other than that, no, I did not do my homework. I apologize. I should have.
Hey, I didn't
especially as much of a Saxon fan as I am. So.
Yeah, well, there you go. Check it out. It's out now. Came out February 21st. So I wouldn't be surprised if Saxon has a new album out by the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
As much as they've been doing stuff the last several years.
They don't fuck around.
Yeah. Well, speaking, like I just mentioned, they opened for Judas Priest. Judas Priest just announced in another leg of their tour throughout this year, the 50 years of Priest. And they've got Sabaton opening, which is fucking great.
That's crazy. That's such a great idea.
Yeah.
More people need to, get turned on to Sabaton.
That's right. And they're playing outdoor amphitheaters. They're playing in Oklahoma City, if you're in this area, on October 2nd, which is, I'm sure, going to be badass.
Are you going to that?
I'm going to try. If I'm here, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
I think it's the same day as the ZZ Top Def Leppard show here in Tulsa, which I was thinking I'll go to that. But
come on.
But I've seen Def Leppard countless times, and I've only seen Priest like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And with Sabaton opening, that kind of seals it.
Yep, kind of have to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, so check that out. Whitesnake also announced another leg of their tour. They're coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That's
on
awesome.
August 28th. So there's another great one. And then, yeah, I feel like something else was announced, but we'll talk about it when it happens.
That's all right.
So let's get into Robin McAuley.
Yes.
Just about 2 weeks ago, I think it was February 7th, was whenever Black Swan's album came out, Shake the World.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
We should have mentioned that in this interview. I'm going to put that sound clip in there. No.
Oh, God.
No. If you're not familiar...
Don't. I shouldn't even said that. This is a great fucking record, and Robin McAuley was absolute fucking joy to talk to. What a gentleman.
Yeah.
It just the best, so...
Yeah, this album, to me, so far, is my favorite album so far of 2020.
Nice.
Like we mentioned, we talked about Dirty Shirley. That album is fantastic, but this one's just a step up from that for me. And Kirk Winstein's right up there as well. But this one so far, right now, is my favorite. I've been listening to it, I think, more than anything else that's come out so far.
Dude, Big Disaster is just worth it alone.
Yeah. Yeah,
and we talk about that.
That's right. Like, yeah, you ask him about it, you talked about that. The song Immortal Souls, I think he brings up, is amazing. She's On to Us is like a great kind of throwback sounding track, where most of these are a little bit... The thing I like about Black Swan is it's like, first off, you got one of my favorite guitarists of all time here.
Right.
With Reb Beach. And then you've got Jeff Pilson from Dokken and now Foreigner. Then you've got Matt Starr, who is currently he's a drummer for Mr. Big.
Yes.
He took over after, am I drawing a blank?
Pat
Torpy, after he passed away. Matt Starr has been the drummer since then, so this is a great lineup. And I think from, what I know about everything I've listened to and, loved throughout my life of Robin McAuley, mainly was the McAuley Schenker albums.
Yeah.
Listened to those whenever I was younger and loved that. And then he had a solo album that came out in the late 90s. And then, he's been doing stuff with Survivor in the last few years. He's been part of Raiding the Rock Vault. And he's been doing the Michael Schenker Fest the last few years, which are, if you're not familiar with that, Michael Schenker has been touring with basically all of the singers that have been a part of his solo
all
work.
Of his old singers, yeah.
Yeah. So, which is a cool idea, which, I don't know if anything like that's really been done.
Right.
And Robin McAuley's been doing that. But I think Black Swan, when I listen to it, sounds like probably the heaviest thing you ever heard his voice on, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's heavier than, the McAuley Schenker stuff was, and even the new Michael Schenker Fest albums that have come out the last couple few years. So I'm really excited about that. A lot of this kind of, there's at times where I feel like it has a Dio feel to it when you mix Reb Beach's guitar with Robin's voice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it sounds like Robin McAuley, and it sounds like more what Reb Beach has been doing in recent years, which, his wingers a little bit heavier than they were back in the early days. So I'm just happy that we got new music from Reb Beach.
I know. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. But yeah, so we should quit rambling and just let this talk, right?
Roll it.
Yeah, we recorded this and had some issues at the beginning, but I'm not going to have that in there. I just want to say that I'm happy that all this worked out, because we were sitting there thinking we might have to cut this off. And
right, yeah, because it was super, super bad. And then for a minute, like when it got good, he just kind of summarized his whole paragraph that we couldn't use.
Yeah. And
so I was like, man, so it might start out weird. I don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But we had some, definitely. But I'm glad. I'm just glad it worked itself out.
Yeah, same here. All right, let's get into this. Here's Robin McAuley, lead vocalist of Black Swan and Michael Schenker Fest.
Yeah, that was basically a call from Jeff Pilson, who in turn runs their music to put another project together similar to he did with his End Machine. So he called Reb, he called me, and we were both totally up for it. They got together, started writing some music. I started writing some lyrics and melodies, and 10, 11 songs later, we have a Black Swan album, and we're really stoked. We love it.
Well, did you guys kind of write do you mean you guys kind of wrote stuff separate and then brought it together, or how did that work?
Well, Jeff, Jeff and I and Matt, we live about 40 minutes from each other in the LA area. And Reb lives in Pittsburgh, so we're not going to him. We're definitely not going to Pittsburgh. So he came to LA, and he went to Jeff's studio, and they kind of started putting some music together, getting it into a sort of an arranged format. They sent it on to me, and then I came to Jeff and Reb in the beginning, all three of us together, and I let them hear what I had. Actually, the first idea that I sang down to them was Big Disaster, and Reb stopped me in my tracks, and he started laughing and going, "Dude, this is the first time we've worked together on a project, and you come in here with a title called Big Disaster." And that kind of set the tone pretty much for the rest of the writing. It was, they'd go into the woodshed and get stuff together, send it to me, because I also work a Vegas show 5 nights a week, so I'm not around that much. And they would send me some music and go, "Here, see what you can do with this." And I'd call Jeff and get his schedule together, and we'd hook up at his studio, do some pre-production on my ideas over what they had sent me, and I'd get straight up to the mic and start recording. And that's kind of how it went all the way through. Yeah, Matt came in at the very end, which was kind of an ass-backwards process because we're not all together in the same room at the same time. But most of the time, at least two of us. So Matt came in at the very end after all the tracks were done, and he had a lot of ideas after Jeff sent him the rough mixes, and he really brought the thunder because there was a drum machine down there just for the purpose of getting a song structure together, and he did a phenomenal job. What he brought to the table at the icing on the cake, and it's a very powerful, fresh sounding record. So, yeah, we're stoked, and we're stoked at the reaction that we've been getting. We're going, "Really? Huh? You like this?" So, yeah, so it's pretty cool. If you told me 10 years ago, whatever, maybe 30 years ago, that I'd be doing something like this, and jumping off the roof, loving it that much, I'd be laughing. But yeah, you never know. Never over till the fat lady sings, right?
Right.
That's right. Well,
I hate that song.
talk about Jeff Pilson as a producer and like what he brings out of you.
Well, if you knew Jeff like I know him, standing in the same room or over the phone with Jeff, he is on 10 constantly. He is so full of energy. He has so much experience, both in songwriting. He's an amazing bass player. He's really good with song arrangements and structures. And, he said to me, this is going to be the best sounding record you've ever done. And I went, I want it to be the best sounding record I've ever done. And so we found, he uses a very old microphone, a Neumann U67, that I absolutely fell in love with. And he said it fell in love with me.
Wow.
And, it captured the vocals like I wanted it to and like he wanted it to. Nothing's over processed. He is so full of energy. I sing something down to him in a rough format, and he would go, yeah, this is great. I love this title, and let's change this and change that, and boom, and it'd be done. And I was just feeding off his energy. And my son Casey was with me on a number of the recordings, who also sang backups on about 4 tracks.
Okay.
And he would leave the studio with me, and he was going, Pilson is just on fire. He got such a kick out of Jeff's energy, and I went, oh yeah, this is how Pilson rolls here. Pilson is the rock that rolls away.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, he is. He thinks the best, and he captures, and that's really important. There's no hidden formula. It's like going, I want to capture this. Do this. This is you. Do that. And of course, he didn't want to play bass on the record to begin with. He wanted purely to sit in the producer's chair, and Reb and I had other ideas about that. So the end result, we went, no way, Pilson, you're playing bass. And he had a bunch of people, really good bass players, that lined up. And my story to him was, you're just going to have these guys in here, show them what it is that you've already done, and why. And he goes, oh, for God's sake. So, yeah, he was on there, and there was just, it wasn't going to be any other way. And that's it, and Rev and I are just completely stoked. He's the best. I can't say enough good things about that Pilson guy. And it's in his studio, so he's very familiar with his surroundings, very comfortable, and just a blast. I'm surprised, actually, with all the stories in between the songs, that we managed to get anything done, really. That said,
yeah.
But I think that's the way recording should be. It's supposed to be fun, and it's also a labor of love. So, yeah, it's a great record. I'm stoked. Yeah, and thank you guys again for having me on here and talking about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. You'd mentioned Big Disaster earlier. I fell in love with that song from the get-go. And you said you brought it in. Talk about the beginnings of that song, how it came about.
Yeah, well, they sent me. We wanted to see what was going to happen with the writing process. We figured, it's going to be decent, right? Because look at Jeff's background and Reb's depth of melody and his playing with Winger and Whitesnake. And, the only question that was asked was, so what does Frontier Music expect here? And Jeff said, they want a classic rock record. And we went, what's that,
Yeah.
And, we've come a long stretch since whatever we ever considered to be our bands at the time, and we're all crazy busy. So they sent me the music, and I went, okay, this is a kick-ass riff to begin with. And I started writing lyrics and melody. And as I said, I came back into the studio, and Rev and Jeff are there, and chew the fat. And I said, okay, you want to hear this? So we started. I mean, we didn't record it. He just handed me a microphone. We sang it in the control room. And Rev was going, this is going to be great, dude. He goes, but really? Big disaster? I mean, it was perfect. I mean, it was just, and it becomes the second single of the record. It's kind of, and it stayed pretty close to how I wrote it, melody and lyric wise. And, there was another piece he sent me. And I love vampire movies, and so I'm listening to the intro of what became Immortal Souls, and I could hear like a crying wolf over the beginning of it. I came back to Jeff with a complete lyric and a melody, and I said, dude, that is so cool how he did that wolf sound over the intro of the song. And Jeff said, what wolf sound? And I went, right there. And he goes, you hear a wolf? That's not a wolf. That's a whammy bar. And I'm going, this is definitely a wolf. And I wrote this whole lyric about a vampire, 1,000 years ago, whatever. And he goes, whatever. He goes, let's run it down and see what he got. And of course, he goes, what do that? and that's really, we just, it sounds easier than it is, or than it was. It was that kind of fun. I told Jeff I'd gone to see Bohemian Rhapsody, for example. And I said, you got to see this, dude. He goes, yeah, if you get out of here in time today, recording-wise, I'll take the family to see it tonight. And he did. Then I'm getting all of these text messages and MP3 files at like midnight. My phone's going crazy. And sure enough, it's Pilsen. He goes to see Bohemian Rhapsody, comes home, gets straight on the piano, and he starts to write what he felt that he picked up from the movie. And it was like this whole first part of United Divided. And he sent it to me and he goes, did you listen? Like still on number 10, And I said, I did. I'm coming in tomorrow. And I came in and I sang along, and the song pretty much stayed the same. I changed a couple of phrases that suits me more. And he goes, oh my God, this is great. Now for part B. And Reb was going, what do you mean part B? That is the whole song. And he goes, no, now we have to pick up the tempo, and I need you to come up with a riff. And so that's kind of how it went. He just started slogging out these great, heavy riffs. And of course there was a kind of a Queen influence. That was the thought process behind it stylistically. But it's very much a Black Swan song, completely a Jeff Pilsen song, that one. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And a great message. Very topical, very, stand up and listen. Same as Shake the World, Big Disaster. It's not meant to be politically based. I don't need a soapbox to scream and shout. I'll stand behind a microphone. But there's a good message. It's very positive. It's, we all need a little shake. We could be in a very big disaster if we're not careful. So it's just an awareness kind of, lyrical content.
Well, you had worked with Pilsen back in the MSG days. Have you ever worked with Reb or Matt prior to this?
No, I only ever met Reb one time when I was singing with Survivor, and he was doing some shows with Night Ranger, and we sort of met and chatted, sort of a nod and a wink backstage at a Night Ranger / Survivor show. Never met him after that. Matt, I did some events in Hollywood with him, and because I do the Vegas show, Raiding the Rock Vault, Matt is also one of our swing drummers, our sub drummers. So I got to know Matt through that, and we made the call to Matt. And Frontiers were behind it. They really liked Matt. And so he jumped on it. Plus, I don't know if many people know this, but Matt Starr is an amazing vocalist. That guy's got a serious set of pipes. Not many people hear him, but he could easily step out from behind the kit and take on anybody. He's really good. And as Jeff said, now we have him as a great singer. I sing. Jeff is a great singer. Reb has a great set of pipes. So the next Black Swan album will be utilizing a lot more than we did on this one. So we're kind of still getting to know each other, and this is what you get first time. I think the next one will be even crazier. So it's good. It's really good.
I mean, you kind of mentioned the next one. I mean, is this something that a project you consider something you guys will do more in the future, or even like select concerts when your schedules could line up? Because I know you're all extremely busy with other projects.
I would hate that this is it, and I think we've discussed it with the band, and they all feel the same, that it would be a great shame because we're really only starting, and you're absolutely right, of course. The big old scheduling is what makes it difficult. But having said that, nothing's impossible, so we're going to try very hard with scheduling. I know that Jeff's foreigner schedule kind of comes to a close about the middle of September. Red is crazier than a bat out of hell, but, you know, he needs some time off, and when he has that time off, we're going to swipe him up. So, yeah. It's difficult to just do a handful of shows. We need to a little bit more than that because there's so much goes into rehearsing and prep and logistically with everybody all over the place. So just to come together for a very short window doesn't make much sense financially, work-wise, all of the above. So as soon as we get that window of opportunity, I mean, you know how it is, we'll be all over it. So, yeah, hopefully this year too. So, and before everything gets too cold,
right?
In terms of the record, of course.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Everything was pretty much approached in the same format. They would send me the music. Sometimes Jeff would have an idea for a chorus, and he'd have a lyric, and he goes, "What do you think of this?" Something for a verse. I would come back. I'd have a verse with a lyric, and he goes, "This is great. This fits perfectly." Or we'd have a verse and no chorus and no lyric or no melody, and we'd work on it right there in the control room and do a little pre-production on it and write down a rough working lyric and a melody, and I'd step right up to the mic, start recording, and we go, "It's killer, let's do it." And then I'd lay down a backing vocal, and we'd be done. We'd move on to the next one. So pretty awesome. No real big to do about, it has to be like this or stylistically. It's like we all kind of know what we needed to do, and we just did it. And you know, there's no such thing as criticism among us because we know what we're capable of. And I'm a great believer that you work within your capabilities, and job done. You know, it turned out great.
Did it have a different vibe to it after all these years, or did it just kind of feel like the MSG thing as it always was?
You know, somebody said to me, when was the last time you actually concentrated and wrote an entire album beginning to end? And my answer was, not in the last 30 years. You know?
Yeah.
It seems like it was a challenge. And it was a challenge, but it was something that we had the mindset that, okay, I guess we're going to do this, and so off we went, and you know, we just got on with it, and you know, you always take a little piece of who you are and what you've done, and there's obviously going to be somewhere a little sort of foreignery, Dockeny, Whitesnake, Winger, you know, Schenker thing going on, because that's who we are. But we wanted to make sure that it was also very much Black Swan. And so to that end, they're all new songs. So it's pretty fresh, new writing. And we found our feet right at the beginning with Big Disaster, and we just, it was a disaster from there out.
Well, shifting gears for just a second into the Michael Schenker Fest, you've done a lot of touring with that in the last few years. Like, what was it like revisiting those old McAuley Schenker songs live?
Oh my God, it's pretty awesome. You know, Michael doesn't even particularly like playing the McAuley Schenker stuff because he thinks it's all sort of music for housewives. Maybe it is. And you know, the good thing about that is there's a lot of housewives like that music, you know. So kudos to the housewives. You know, on a serious note, standing up there with Gary and Grant whom of course I knew, all of these years. We just never had a chance to perform together under the same umbrella. And then from Temple of Rock, he brought in Doogie White. So, it's so much fun. It's a 2.5-hour show, and very different because sometimes Michael will switch who the opening vocalist is, but irrespective of who it is, you can transition from all of those periods. So Gary was pretty much in the 70s, and Graham came very quickly in behind him and never really toured with Michael. He did Assault Attack, and that record really never saw the light of day. And then I came in for the McAuley period, US, etc., and we got our MTV and we got our VH1 stuff. So it's very different in terms of what each vocalist does, so it's an interesting kind of a show. Temple of Rock is very different again. And then, of course, we also join each other on stage and become backup singers for whatever song it needs. Really interesting, and I thought in the beginning, it's been 4 years now, actually, since we did Sweden Rock, and it kind of had a domino effect after that. The promoters loved the idea, and so we've been doing it ever since. And I thought, oh my God, people will never stick out 2.5 hours. And if anything, they complain that it's not longer because they didn't hear X song in the set. And we ran over a couple of times in the States last year when we did the tour. We ran over 3 hours nonstop. Wow. And that comes because, when we hit all the UFO stuff, come towards the end of the set, and Michael breaks into a solo from Rock Bottom, it can go from 5 minutes to 25 minutes long.
Right.
And he reinvents it almost every night, and it's amazing every single night. In fact, Michael Schenker, in my opinion, is playing better now than he's ever done. He's very focused. He's very he's got his direction. He knows exactly where he's at, and people are and he's actually talking and even singing. It's completely different Michael Schenker.
Right.
So it's great to see because he is an amazing guitarist. He has influenced an enormous amount of guitar players. And, there's been many stories written about Michael, but, there was a lot of stories written about Mozart. Look what happened to him. Right? They didn't write anything influential whatsoever. So it's all relative, really. He's amazing.
One the two studio albums that you guys have recorded, how did you guys approach the songs that had all 4 of the vocalists on it? Was it something that one person wrote it, or did you all kind of like bring in your own phrasing?
Yeah, Michael Voss is Michael's producer for some time now, and Michael works closely together with him when it comes to a song that they want with all 4 vocalists, and he usually writes it, sends it to us. And because we're so spread out, Graham and myself are here in the States, and the rest of the guys are in Europe. So, they get their files, and then they send the files back in. That's mostly how it happens. Or we can arrange it that we're all in the same room rehearsing and recording at the same time. And we try to make that happen as often as is logistically possible. Right now, most of the band is rehearsing in the UK for the Japanese tour. And as soon as we hit Japan, March 6th, we'll have a few days rehearsal where I can come in and I can start rehearsing. So everybody there'll be a whole band together for at least a week, 10 days before anything happens. And that includes rehearsing and recording and all of that sort of stuff. So it's a very unique, while a very difficult project, if you will, to put together and make it work. And still sound so tight when we hit that stage because, we don't miss a beat. Kudos to ourselves, I have to say. So you have to do your homework. You have to be ready, to get in there and know your stuff. Rehearsals have always been, for me, it's just tightening up the songs. It's not for learning. You need to know your work before you go to the rehearsal room. There's a lot of people I know who think that they go to the rehearsal room and have a case of beer and start learning the songs there. And, studio time is studio money. And that's not how it works, not in my book anyway. You need to go in there and be ready. And you run down the songs, and you arrange the songs, and you make them tight. And that's how MSG works. They come in prepared, get the job done, and we're ready to go.
Right. Well,
that sounds very strict.
Hey, well, it pays off, I'm sure. You mentioned...
Yeah, it does. And that's the key. It does pay off.
Yeah. You mentioned raiding the Rock Vault, and I mean, you've been doing that a while now, too. There's been a lot of guys involved with that. Is there anyone that hasn't been involved that you think would be a great fit for that?
Oh my God. We do have quite a revolving door. We're going into our year number 7. We've amassed almost 1,500 shows.
Wow.
And when you bring players like Doug Aldrich and Tracy Guns and Howard Leese and Hugh McDonald, both of whom, of course, are Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, and you have Paul Shortino and Todd Kearns from Slash, and we used to have Andrew Freeman from Last in Line and Mark Bowles from Yngwie. We have Sean Coy, female vocalist from Meatloaf and Dweezil Zappa. We have a Megan Ruger from The Voice, Michael T. Ross from Lita Ford's band, Phil Suzanne from Ozzy and Billy Idol. Oh, man, it's... I don't know if we forgot anybody. We also have, yeah, right? We also have Dave Amato that comes in from Oreo Speedwagon whenever he's in town. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing because when we started it in 2012, when we did the first showcase, there were a lot of, I'm going to say this, LA musicians who came to that showcase. And they go, oh, dude, I could do this, man. I've been playing that song for years. Until they come and they start to blow it out in the rehearsal room, and only to find out that Rock Vault is very particular about blowing it out because, even stuff like Hotel California, which is a big song in the set, it is note for note perfect, exactly like the record. And that's the difference. We do it exactly, musically, it's exactly like the record. The singers come in, and I always regard ourselves as nothing more than a vehicle for the songs to pass through. So we chop it up, and sometimes you'll have a song with three or 4 singers on it. Makes it really interesting, and we swap back and forth with harmonies. And the sound is huge. It's an all-ages show, and people just don't seem to get enough of it, It's classic rock, alive and well. Ironically, of course, since we started that 7 years ago, so many quote-unquote classic rock bands have taken a residency in Vegas. In fact, Foreigner just did a small batch of shows at the beginning of January, and they'll be coming back, I think Jeff told me, for a 3-week stay as a residency in 2021. Aerosmith are there, of course. Journey have come through. Leopard, Scorpions. Oh my God, Billy Idol has come through. David Lee Roth just picked up a residency.
Yeah.
So classic rock in Vegas is very much the show that people want to go see. Very much. Yeah. Do I want to say thanks to Raiding the Rock Vault? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, being someone that has such a huge voice and performing that much with Raiding the Rock Vault and Michael Schenker Fest, do you have any pre-show rituals for getting your voice prepared?
Oh my God. It's like being an athlete. You have to train. You have to pace yourself. You have to know what you're capable of doing. I love walking. I don't go to the gym, but I walk about an hour and a half every morning. It's really good for the respiratory, good for the lungs. Once my job is done, a typical night we're Raiding the Rock Vault is we have a 7:30 show, so we're in the venue at about 5:30. We have meet and greets. You're talking. Then we have a 90-minute show. You're singing. Then we have another 45 minutes to an hour post-show for signing and taking photos. You're talking again. And casinos are atypical smoky venue. and that doesn't go down. That doesn't work good for me at all. So once I'm done, I'm out of there so fast, and my days are usually fairly laid back, pretty quiet, and my head is wrapped around the show that's coming that night. So I rest as much as I can. 8 or 9 hours sleep, very important if you care about your voice. Not always possible, but AC, not good for the singers. All of those little awful stuff, if you care. I know a lot of singers who just go, oh, whatever. But I think it shows. It's my instrument. It's all I have. So I have a huge responsibility. Plus, we have a show that with a different audience coming into Vegas every night. They don't need to hear excuses that you're not feeling well. They paid for a show. They want to see a show, and there's your bar. They set the bar for you, and we have producers who will go, really?
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's a job. It is a job, and that's how it works. That's really how it works. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. You know,
yeah, definitely.
Just have to take care of it if you care.
Yeah, obviously.
Rock vault material is very, very different than going out to do a Schenker show. It's Schenker takes it up to another level, so you're singing in a completely different style than you are at rock vault. So when Black Swan came up, I was pretty ready for whatever the songs needed. So. And Jeff Pilson did a monstrous job on production, so it's good. It's good. You know, I touch wood. I can still sing, so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We're only, 2 months into the year, but I mean, that's my favorite album of the year so far, so you guys kind of knocked it out of the park.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It feels funny to me saying, thank you for a record, but it's no, we appreciate it. It's taken us by surprise, I suppose, but we're very happy with it, and I hope the ball keeps rolling. Maybe the Swan will change color by the time we get to the next one.
Right.
Why is it a white swan? And I'm going, but Black Swan is the name of the band. And you couldn't see a black swan on a black shirt anyway.
True, unless it's like metallic black on black or something.
Yeah, somebody said that it looked like, reminded them of the old Led Zeppelin Swan song label.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
If you say so, Yeah.
And then get there.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for taking the time with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Anytime. Oh, there's a name for a song. Anytime.
There you go.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. You spend a lot of time yakking, and I can't shut up sometimes. So
No,
forgive me for that.
we love it. That's what we want. So thank you.
Well, thank you both much, and come and see us on the road.
All right.
Will do.
We'll
Thank you.
Yeah, and you know what they say, shake the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
There you go, Robin McAuley of Black Swan, Michael Schenker Fest, Raiding the Rock Vault, Survivor. You know what that means? We've now had on 2 vocalists from Survivor.
Right?
Because Dave Bickler was on this podcast for about a minute and a half.
Who can say
a few
that?
months ago, right?
Not many. Fuck off.
That's right. Back whenever we had on Stevie Dukakis he had an album with Corey Glover. He was actually in the studio working on an album, or music at least, with Dave Bickler. And he had him get on the phone and talk for a minute. So that's where that came from.
Gotta love that.
Yeah. And now here we got Robin McAuley. So a huge thank you, of course, to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotions. And of course, a big thank you to Robin McAuley for taking some time out there to talk. Like you mentioned earlier, he's great to talk to, joking around, had a good time. So I was pretty happy to get to do that.
Definitely.
So if you have not checked out Black Swan, like we said up front, and if you listen to all that, hopefully that gets you pumped to go check this out. It's a fantastic album. Really looking forward to seeing if they do something again. I mean, I know we talked about it there. Like all 4 of these guys have huge busy schedules, especially especially Jeff Pilson, but also Rob McAuley with all the Raiding the Rock Vault stuff he's got going on. So.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Reb Beach pulls double duty with Whitesnake and Winger. So, you never know. But I'm hoping we get another album down the line and maybe some tour dates at some point mixed in there. This is a great band. Well, something that popped in my mind, like, that we didn't talk about up front, which I wanted to bring up, was James Hetfield.
Listening.
Well, you were going to Louder Than Life.
Oh.
And now Metallica.
Oh, I thought you were trying to connect the two singers.
No, not in any way. I was just meant in general. Like, I meant to bring it up because it's a pretty big thing.
Here's my take on it. And I'm not going to go over it. If you don't know what's going on, Google it. He had a statement. I get it. I get it. Recovery, mental health, that comes first. And it does. It does. It fucking does. I get it. Whatever. Yeah. But at the same time, there's the blue collar part of me that is like, okay, dude, what the fuck? Like, you're done with rehab. You're playing your April tour in South America. You're doing the 3 other Wimmer festivals. I'm sorry that your Shady Pines Baptist fucking men's retreat is on the same weekend as these festivals. Sucks. But, motherfuckers paid tickets, have already put down for hotels, Airbnbs, what the fuck ever. And some of that shit is hard to get money back on. Okay? So it's kind of like, part of me kind of just wants to go, suck it up.
Right.
You're a fucking quadrillionaire. Deal with it. Bring somebody on the road with you. I don't know.
Yeah. But that always doesn't mean anything because look at Chester Bennington or
you're exactly right. And that is
Chris Cornell or Robin Williams or whoever.
And that is exactly the other side of the coin. That it's like, okay, I gotta stop and I can't think like that. I have to be like, look, our realities are vastly different. I can't understand that way of life and he doesn't understand our way of life and vice versa. And so you just gotta, whatever. I mean, just do what you can do to make sure you're on this earth, for another 50 years or whatever. I mean, so, fair enough.
Yeah, my first instinct was, okay, Sonic Temple, that's, even though they're playing shows in April, that's fairly early, not that far off. But then the one, the Louder Than Life is in September, and I'm like, and you're playing shows between then.
Of course.
And so I know he said it's a recovery event, and my first instinct was like, well, can't that be changed? Well, maybe it can't. Maybe it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's not just a personal thing.
I don't know what program he's in.
And really, that's not our thing to worry about. Like you said, I mean, doesn't matter if you make $50 billion or you make $12 a year. It's like you got to worry about whatever, because, I mean, he's in an environment where I would imagine it's one of the hardest environments to deal with that. If you're trying to deal with,
of course.
Yeah, staying sober and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing, obviously festivals never give refunds if a band cancels.
Right.
But I think they knew they had to on this one because so many people...
they haven't announced anything fucking else, and that's another thing. Louder Than Life needs to fucking release their fucking lineup immediately. And I don't give a fuck how mad I sound or how unreasonable I sound. That's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It should have been announced already. And now that fucking Metallica backed out, and they're still trying. I don't give a fuck. And they're still trying to recoup. It should be fucking released already as of this fucking taping.
Right.
I don't give a fuck if they don't even have their headliners, their replacement headliners. They need to announce that fucking lineup now. Because
for the people that bought tickets, you mean?
Yeah, and to save the whole fucking thing, because so many people have bought shit just based on Metallica.
Well, both festivals, even though Sonic Temple I guess, is announced.
Yeah, it's
Tool
announced.
Tool and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
So it's
well,
like
the whole thing's announced, but we know that it's before.
well, that was already announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, they knew they had to offer refunds and exchanges, and the cool thing, I guess, if you're really wanting to see Metallica as one of the options, is you can exchange Louder Than Life or Sonic Temple tickets for Aftershock, Welcome to Rockville, or Epicenter if you want, and because Metallica's still doing the double sets on all three of those.
Yep.
Or it said you could even switch it for Sonic Temple if you want to see the Chili Peppers and Tool and Slipknot.
Yep.
Or you can obviously stay with, Louder Than Life, or just get your money back completely.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, are you guys thinking of going if you like the lineup still? Or are you going to just say screw it all? Or are you going to transfer your tickets to Epicenter or what?
No, we're not transferring.
Because that's not that much further of a drive than Louisville.
Well, I know. But
I mean, a few hours probably more.
But the times of year are different. And,
that's right.
And here's the thing is as a group of us, we don't know yet. I don't know. There's 6 of us. What, 6 of us going?
Oh, okay. I wouldn't even think about that.
Yeah. And as Melissa and I, we don't know yet. If it was just me, pure, straight up honesty, refund.
Yeah.
But, she's like, hey, we're not going to Oklahoma. Let's see what this ends up being. And that's kind of where the others are at. So I'll just kind of go along with it.
Gotcha.
I think that, thank God the Airbnb policy, refund policy is pretty lenient.
Okay.
And we have some time.
Yeah.
So if everyone decides not to, I think we're okay. Or, if the lineup is stupid, I don't know. But dude, who knows? Who knows? But they really need to announce that shit soon.
Yeah. Hopefully it's AC/DC.
They do. I mean, it won't be.
I know. Just wanted to throw that in there because that's the type of thing we would have talked about. I just forgot to bring it up.
Well, and I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger on the Berkeley to Boston tour.
Oh, we're at St. Louis?
St. Louis.
Okay.
But I have a feeling that
it's coming to Texas too, right?
Yeah, but the St. Louis one's on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
And so, but I have a feeling that 1 or 2 of those bands might be on Louder Than Life. Because those bands are kind of on a lot of those festivals this year.
That's right.
So I don't know.
Well, and the other thing, I don't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast or just to you off the podcast last time, but I bet you get Faith No More, Korn, Helmet, if not all of them, at least a couple of them, because their final date of that tour, I think, is St. Louis, or it's somewhere that's not far from Louisville, and it's like the Friday that festival's going on, so I would bet 1 or 2 or 3 of them will be there Saturday, Sunday.
Well, you're right. Yeah, that's a good...
So if you get Faith No More, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I guess to close this thing out, if you're this is your first time listening, or you listen a lot and you haven't listened to everything, we've got 254 previous episodes, and we've had, if you're a Robin McAuley fan from back in the day and you like the 80s rock, I mean, we've had on guys from LA Guns, Dokken, we've had on Frank Hannon a couple times from Tesla, we've had on Gene Simmons of Kiss, Bruce Kulick of Kiss, Dizzy Reed of Guns N' Roses, Vivian Campbell of Def Leppard and Dio. Then we've had on, a ton more of those kind of bands. We've had on guys from Typo Negative and Seven Dust, and Life of Agony, Beasto Blanco.
We talked about Biff Byford earlier. He's been on the show, and we even talked about that. I'm mentioning it again for some reason.
Well, we talked about Black Star Riders there for a second. We had on Ricky Warwick and Damon Johnson together. Yeah. Damon Johnson's been on here again talking about his solo stuff. Tons and tons of people. You just dig through there. We've covered like pretty much all genres of rock and metal. We've even had on Shooter Jennings. Even had on Lauryn Hill's guitarist. We've had on all kinds of great stuff. So just dig through there. Check it out. We're on SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Underground. You can listen to us on our website, thethunderunderground.com. And when you're on there, you can find all our social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're also on YouTube. So subscribe there. We have videos that are separate from the podcast where we review albums and shows and all kinds of stuff. So check that out as well. And you can listen to us on iTunes and Google Music and TuneIn and Stitcher and Mixcloud and all that stuff as well. I think that covers it. All right. Once again, thanks to MedFarm, DEB Concerts, and Robin McAuley. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.